got some massive changes on the South African laws. So a new white paper has been issued today by the South Africa Department of Home Affairs. And it is very important for you to understand, if you are in South Africa or plan to come to South Africa, what this means. So the South African legislation is currently divided into three parts, which is a law to do with immigration, a law to do with citizenship, and a law to do with births and deaths. So all these laws were confusing each other and were making it difficult for South Africa to attract skills into the country. So there is now a white paper that has been put out in 2025. This follows the white paper that was put out in 2024. The reason why that paper from 2024 was withdrawn was because there was the GNU with the new minister, Leon Schreiber, who is doing a great job. And then he made some proposals. After he made those proposals, it was then decided that this law should be taken for legal advice. So the 2024 white paper was taken for legal advice so that it will pass the constitutional check. So this is what has happened. And then today they've issued the white paper. If you go to fumojournal.com, you'll see that we've put the complete law or the complete white paper on there. It is out for comment, and you're supposed to comment by the 31st of January. So by the 31st of January, you should have commented if you want to comment, and all the details of how to comment are over there. So what has happened is that certain things have been taken away. So let me start with what has been taken away. Permanent residence has been taken away. So the way that you know permanent residence, it's no longer there. So you don't just stay in South Africa for 5 years and now have permanent residence. That's been taken away. Naturalization has been taken away. So you don't just stay in South Africa for 5 years and then you are a natural citizenship or citizen of South Africa. Marriage, if you marry a South African woman, you don't automatically become a citizen of South Africa. Refugees, you don't just come to South Africa and get asylum and get a job and stay in South Africa. That has been taken away. Birth, our citizenship by birth has been taken away. So you don't just give birth in South Africa and then your child is now a South African. All that has been taken away. So what is present? What is new? What is proposed? So as I said, you are going to have one law which deals with citizenship, immigration, and refugees. So that is going to be one law. And then your work permit, the skills, critical skills visa has been taken away. The general work permit has been taken away. So those no longer exist under this proposal. And this is supposed to come in effect in 2027. So as the new GNU comes to an end, this should already be in place. So take note of what I said have been taken away. A whole bunch of things have been taken away. So what's coming? Let's start with birth. So I'm going to take you through each way of coming to South Africa legally and what has happened. We start with birth. So South Africa no longer or will no longer have birth certificates, which are physically on paper. So when a child is born, there is going to be a record, a birth record, which is going to be electronic at the point of birth. So you no longer have to go to Home Affairs to get a birth certificate. So when you give birth at the hospital, they are going to give you a record there at the point of birth. And then for a child who is not South African, they are going to have a foreigner identity linked to their birth. So that is how it's going to work if you're a foreigner. If your parents are both foreigners, you're going to have a foreign identification number. If you're local, obviously you're going to have the normal ID, but it won't be on paper. It will be electronic. So there's going to be an electronic population register. So what they're going to have now is an intelligent population register. Then let's go to work permits. So there's no more critical skills permit. There's no more general work permit. There is one skilled work visa. So there's one skilled work visa. Obviously, there are other types of visas. So let's look at other types of visas that are there. But the general and critical skills visa that you know are no longer going to be there. There's going to be a new one visa for employment, and it's going to be point-based. So it's going to be point-based. What it means is that you get 100 points if your skill is on a skills list. And if it's not on the skills list, there are other ways of getting on that skills list. You can have 10 years experience. You can have an offer, a job offer. So if your skill is on that list, you automatically qualify for a visa. So that is an advantage for those guys who are looking for work. If your skill is on a skilled list and you meet the requirements, automatically you have a visa to be in South Africa. So you can go and check that out, and let's display it so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. And as I said, go to fumojournal.com. You also see this information over there. So once you get your permit, you are automatically able to become a permanent resident. But the process of becoming a permanent resident is no longer time-based. So it's now by invitation. So I'll take you through permanent residence when we complete the rest. So being a permanent resident is no longer by time. It's by invitation, and it's no longer open the whole year. You are invited by the minister at various window periods to become a citizen or to become a permanent resident. Similarly, for naturalization, there are going to be windows when you can become you can apply for naturalization, but it's by invitation. So it's not something that can just happen by itself. So as I said, you can go to our Facebook page. You'll be able to see the immigration laws. So just under me here, if you go on our Facebook, you see where I'm talking. You go right under me, you'll see a man with a spear. You can click there and see everything as I speak. I've summarized it for you in a few pages. The whole document is 78 pages. So this is the quickest way for you to understand what's going to happen. So there'll be a citizenship advisory panel, which is going to advise on permanent residence and on naturalization. So we've covered children, we've covered work permits. Now let's go to marriage. When you marry a South African woman or a South African man, you won't automatically become a citizenship or a citizen. You are going to go through a more rigorous process of vetting, and then you are going to have, obviously, your permit. You'll be able to get your permit, or it won't be naturalization, but to be a resident of South Africa by marriage. That is still there. Then let's go to study permits. Study permits are still there, but you are encouraged to go through the point-based system. So the system that other people who are looking for work are going through, especially if you are going for masters and so forth. They are trying to avoid these multiple ways of applying for a permit. So they are encouraging you to go through the point system, and if you get 100 points, then you are able to go and become or to study in South Africa. There are new visas, the remote work visa or the nomad visa, and the startup visa, which is also available. There are also visas for pensioners if you earn 37,000 a year. There's also a permit or some sort of residency for people that have got 5 million rands. So remember, Botswana has introduced a visa for about 87,000 or 1 million pula. South Africa has introduced a similar thing for 5 million rands. So these are the kind of things that they've introduced. And then let's go to refugees. So as a refugee, you cannot apply for asylum anymore. from inside South Africa. So you can't come to South Africa and then say, I'm applying for asylum. You have to go to the border. So there'll be a camp at Beitbridge. Particularly, they are putting one at Beitbridge. And you have to apply and stay at the camp. If you fail, they will put you back to Zimbabwe or to whichever country you came from. If you succeed, then you come into South Africa, but you won't automatically be able to look for a job. You won't automatically be able to have a grant. You won't be able to get to work. All those things have been removed from the current asylum laws. And at the border, Home Affairs is no longer going to be enforcing the law. The law is going to be enforced by the Border Management Authority, who are now armed. So they're now an armed force. That is the Border Management Authorities. So I think I've covered all the ways of becoming a citizenship. Let's start. We said child, employment, refugee, pensioner, and a wealthy person with 5 million. We forgot the spouse. If you're a spouse of someone with a permit, that is still there, but it has changed dramatically. So you no longer just automatically get it. There's massive vetting that is going to take place regarding all these people who are coming in as spouses. So what does it mean? There is no more automatic path to citizenship in South Africa. So if these rules or laws pass, there is no more automatic path to citizenship. There's no permanent automatic permanent residence. You have to go through a process to become a naturalized citizen of South Africa. It's a circus. So let me tell you why it's a circus. First, you have to be invited by the minister. Then you have to go through a ceremony. So if you succeed, if the Citizenship Advisory Council agrees that you can be a citizenship, you qualify, you are contributing to the society, it's really hyper. If you succeed, you then have to go and have a ceremony as if you are being inaugurated. It's not lies. This is what is going to happen. You're going to need to be inaugurated as a citizenship, a citizen of South Africa. So that is crazy. I don't know who came up with that idea, but I believe that that is going to be removed. I don't think anyone is going to have time to inaugurate every person that is going to be a South African citizenship. You call them and make them sit there and swear an oath of allegiance and all that. That is craziness. That is going to go, I believe. And then obviously, they say they're going to publish a list of everyone that has been made as a permanent resident or a naturalized citizen of South Africa. So what do I think? I think this has tightened the laws for South Africa. People are no longer going to come here to live. So no one is going to come to South Africa with the idea that I will stay permanently in South Africa. So every country that I know, if you live in that country for a certain number of years, you are allowed to become a permanent resident and then a citizen. They've removed that possibility. You can no longer just become a permanent resident. It's by invitation. And then you have to meet all the criteria that are required. To naturalize, you have to be invited. And the process is so difficult. If you're an asylum seeker, it has been criminalized. So you're going to be basically be thrown in prison. That's what the camps are. If you are in the camps, you have been thrown into a place where you can't do anything, you can't work. It's not your fault that you are an asylum seeker. Now they are putting you in a camp and you can't leave that camp. You have to stay in that camp. South Africa has also withdrawn or will be withdrawing from the treaty for refugees. So they are no longer going to be part of the UN treaty on refugees because they want to do away with employment for refugees. They want to do away with rights. So the rights of refugees are going to be taken away. That is why they're pulling out of this whole thing. That is the Treaty of the United Nations on refugees.
Wow. South Africa has entered into a new era. The country you knew last week is not the same again this week. Hey. People living in the country without a legal paper will now be removed, and heavy penalties await any defaulter. Hey, what a new change. One thing we should also understand is many people were born and brought up in the land. They speak the language, they socialize with them, they know their culture, they eat their food. What will be the fate of such individuals now? What do you think for this kind of people? Because South Africa has become a home for them, but they don't have any legal documents. What do you think will be the fate of these people? Let me know in the comment section. Please also remember to subscribe, like, and share. I will see you next time.